During swimming lessons, Lana's friend likes Clark. Chrissy's boyfriend wants a luck kiss. When they go another round, Troy is unwell. Clark saves him. When they turn him around, he is an old man. Jonathan doesn't know if they can pay the feed bill this month. Martha thinks of the credit extension, but she's told that they're 3 months behind and neither is Martha's salary enough. She wants to ask her dad for help, but Jonathan's silent. Clark finds it weird that he never met his granddad. His dad says there is bad blood between them. Lana finds some pictures of her mom with a random guy which were taken whilst Lana's parents were married. Clark says it's probably just a friend. Lex decides to bring Clark to school. However, just as he arrives, a man doesn't let him in as he's 4 minutes too late. He's a new principal and says that from now on the gates lock from the first bell and will remain closed until school is done. Lex tells the man to let him pass as it is his fault. The man doesn't like Lex. Lex says he used to be the headmaster at Excelsior Prep. He then lets Clark through and says next time he will be in detention. Lex says that he hasn't changed a bit. The man tells him to stay away from his school and students. Lex says it's petty that he's still holding a grudge against him whilst he was only 14 years old back then. He then asks him why he behaves in this manner. The man just says goodbye. As Christine is checking out some wrinkles, Reynolds introduces himself. He needs the transcripts from her last school. She'll tell her parents but then looks in disdain. Chloe hangs a paper of Troy's death on the wall of weird. He died of rapid aging disease. Clark's mad at the new principal. Chloe says he has some high credentials. Clark tells Lana that he doesn't know his granddad and bad relationship between him and his parents. Nell arrives at school. Lana asks her about the pictures. She says it must have been one of her old boyfriends. Lana mentions that it was during her marriage. Nell says that her mom would never hurt her or her father. Martha's dad arrives. He's surprised that Jonathan wanted his help, but she didn't tell him. Her dad didn't want this life for her, as she had potential for being a lawyer. Clark arrives and somehow it's the first time he meets his grandfather. He says he'll stay at the hotel, but Clark wants him to stay at the house, but he says it won't work out. Jonathan doesn't want his help. When Clark asks what happened, he says when they decided to get married, he went to his office to ask for her hand. He got rudely denied and shoved, so Jonathan punched him. Jonathan tried apologizing, but they haven't talked since. Clark says it's been 20 years and he drove all the way here. Jonathan says he's just here to gloat. Lana asks Lex if he can look into the man on the pictures. He recommends her not to look into it. The principal likes the torch and Chloe's insights. Clark is then taken to the office. He is told that he's a slacker, but also believes Clark has much potential. Clark's then told to write a 5-page essay on where he wants to be 5 years from now. As Christine talks to Clark about high school life being great, her hand suddenly ages. Lex says he had to write the same essay with Reynolds. Clark believes he's taken out on him because of his friendship with Lex. He then tells Lex about his dad and granddad. He's advised to put them in one room to talk it out. Chrissy flirts with another guy. When she kisses him, she sucks out his youth. Clark brings his granddad to Jonathan. He wants to help, but Jonathan stubbornly refuses. He then says Martha made a big mistake and he needs to swallow his pride. Jonathan tells him to get off his land. He then leaves. Chloe says that Russell died from extreme old age. At this point, they seem to be numb of their fellow students dying. Clark says he saw Russell with Chrissy. He wants to look into her past. Lex visits Principal Reynolds. He came to donate some old computers. Lex appreciates how Reynolds pushed him, but he wants Reynolds to stop turning his antagonism towards him against Clark. He says that Lionel taught him well and reminds him of the incident where Lex almost got expelled, so Lionel gave the school a new library with the condition that Lex could stay and Reynolds gone. Lana received some documents from Lex, but hasn't opened it because she doesn't want to lose the image of her parents. Clark says that things didn't work out with his granddad. He wants to do something about it. He visits his granddad at the hotel. As he's preparing to leave, he shows him some family pictures so that he has a better perspective. But he just tells him to give the cashier's check to his mom. But Clark wants him to give it himself. Clark doesn't understand how he hasn't seen his family for 20 years and can just walk away. The principal is waiting for the transcripts. Chrissy tells him that her parents will be at the town for the rally. When she waves him off, her hand is old. Chloe tells Clark that 12 years ago, 3 students died of the same aging disease at a high school. Among them is Chrissy by the name of Missy. She was also in the 80s, the same age. Chloe tracked her down until 1921. Clark says she wants to stay eternally young. Chloe decides to call the cops as Clark speeds off. Chrissy speaks with Reynolds. She says her parents died a century ago. We then see that she looks old and then hits him in the face. Clark sees her approach him. When he enters, she's extremely old. He says there's more to life than this. She disagrees. When she grabs him, he pushes her off. As she stares upon herself, she ages drastically, and then finally falls down and rots away completely. Oops. Clark hands the check to his mom. He says that his granddad wanted to be involved with his adoption and they withheld him. Jonathan said that Clark couldn't control his abilities when he was young. His secret would have been revealed. Clark says his family, but Martha says that they had many disagreements and didn't know if they could trust him. When Clark says that this is all because of him, he's told that in this case it would have not been possible. Clark tells Lana that in his essay he wrote that he sees his future in journalism. He then says that he will try to have a relationship with his grandfather. Lana says that the guy in the photos with her mom was possibly a boyfriend during the 1 year when her parents were legally separated for divorce before getting back together. She was born right after her parents got back together. She said that her dad could still be alive.